Good morning, everybody. How are you? Happy Monday. It's a start of the week, and we're going to have a great start to the week because we're going to be talking about data science. We're going to get our minds engaged, help us start to, think about data and whatnot for the week. As maybe we took a little bit of a break over the weekend, or at least for Sunday. I know that some of you that are going to be joining us today definitely did not have a break because we had a great class yesterday going over the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. I really enjoyed the class. I thought it was interesting. Now, I will concede that the level of difficulty has definitely gone up. But hey, that's data science, right? Some of the things are going to be easier. Some of the things are going to be a little harder. So we're coming off a good weekend. I enjoyed my Sunday afternoon. I went out. I spent some time outside in the sun doing some of my hobbies, and now that recharged me to be ready now on Monday. I've been working since about 3:30 in the morning or so because I've been trying different things and experimenting with different approaches to social media, and I have to do all my edits and my clips and things like that. So it's been a busy morning already, even though it's only 8 a.m. on my side. So I hope that you're well, and thank you for coming and spending some time with me. If you are in our chats and you are new, then you should know that we always start with our global roll call. That is where I ask you to let us know the city, state, province, and country that you're from. And that just helps everybody participate, keep everything inclusive, and also just helps us see the global nature of data science. Because really, there are very few parts of the world, very few industries that are interested in data science in some way, right? There's always some demand somewhere for data science. Now, it's going to be at varying levels, but there's always a demand out there, so I think it's nice for us to see that. So if you could introduce yourself, just let us know the city, state, province, country you're from. And also it helps you, like I said, it helps you feel also more involved in the conversation. So I'm seeing people both on Instagram and on YouTube. On both of those platforms, you're going to see a link to our Discord, and that's a great way for you to stay in touch with everyone beyond the live streams. We're forming a really good community. We're forming a fast-growing community there. I've really been surprised on how fast it's been growing. So we are well over 100 people now. So you're going to find some good conversation there. And maybe, you want to post looking for help, looking for a Kaggle partner or something else. It's become a really good resource. So while I give you guys a moment to check in and just let us know where you're from, I always like to do an opening note. And for today's opening note, I was thinking about the conversation we had last week about consulting. If you didn't attend last week, we had some really great discussion about the nature of consulting and how, not everything is what it seems like in consulting, especially when you're doing it on a freelance basis. I think that we might have addressed some different views and different opinions that people have about consulting. So today I thought we should probably extend that and talk about working in corporate environments. And I mean that particularly around data science. So you might have an idea of, you might have an idea of how data science is done academically. And then you're going to have an idea of how data science, what you think data science is done in the corporate world. And then there's the reality of being in the corporate world and how data science is actually carried out. So a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, and maybe just kind of dispelling a couple of notions that you might have. So one of the things that I think is really important to understand is that it's very much people-based when you are getting into data science at the corporate level. Because ultimately, you are not there to produce code, you're not there to produce math, you are there to produce an impact for the business. So you are going to be talking a lot with the business and really just kind of serving their needs, right? So a lot of that comes down to you understanding exactly what those needs are and you finding a solution for them. Now, just because you find a solution for them doesn't mean it's going to be easy to sell. You're going to run across a lot of skepticism, a lot of people that don't really understand data science, or maybe in some way are a little bit afraid of it, a little bit standoffish of it. Last Thursday, I had my friend Laura Sell join us, and if you remember her conversation, she talked about how, sometimes you get beat up in meetings. Sometimes you have some tough meetings. You have the corporate word is difficult conversations. Sometimes you have difficult conversations, and And I can attest to that. I think everybody who's been in a corporate environment has those stories. I have a couple of stories where I got beat up. I have a story where I got beat up, and afterwards the project manager even called me and said, "Are you okay?" Like, we've all had those moments where you get beat up in meetings, right? And just because you present an idea doesn't mean people are just going to say yes. They're gonna take you to task, right? Another thing too is that you're going to have a lot more overhead. And what I mean by that is you're not always going to have quick access to processing power. You're going to have to, kind of, dig around for some processing power. You're going to have to maintain models over the long term, right? You don't just deploy models and then forget about them. You have to maintain them. And on top of that, you might also have things like model review management, which isn't really a thing in the academic world, right? If you've never actually worked in the corporate world, you may not know what model review management is. So that's something that you're going to have to address. Some companies handle it better than others, but it's a big topic. It's going to add to your time. You can't just say, okay, the model's ready, let's deploy tomorrow. That's not how it works. There's a lot of processes that you have to follow. Third item is that you may not always have access to the latest vendors or even the latest libraries, depending on the policies that are in place at your company, right? You can't just say, oh, I found this really great vendor, let's bring them in and we'll work with their tools tomorrow. In some places it can take you a long time to bring in a new vendor. Again, depending on the company and the policies and things along those lines. And finally, another thing you should realize is that it's going to be very rare when you're going to just walk in and have a brand new project that you're going to own and just start working right away on a project that's your own. You might have to work on a project that's already in flight, or you might be put on maintenance tasks for existing projects, or you may not write algorithms at all. You might work on pipelines. That's what I do for my first years, right? I like to put them on pipelines first because I want to see their code. I want to see their thought process, right? And it's also kind of like it's almost like a little bit of a firewall so that you don't throw a new person right into your algorithmic code, right? That can be dangerous for me too, right? So, some of those things are things that maybe you haven't really considered in the past, but it's very much a part of working in the corporate environment as opposed to, being in school or, doing projects on your own and things along those lines. So I'm happy to talk about more of those things. I provide these opening notes. So if you want to add something in the chat, just let me know if you have any questions or, other things that you're curious about. But I thought I'd put that out there as our opening note, and then that way we continue the rest of the stream. So if you're just joining us, again, feel free to let us know the city, state, province that you're from. I already see some people joining in and doing that, so let me go ahead and start going down the list. So Rohan, our good friend Rohan, you've consistently been attending for like the last 2 weeks. I appreciate that about you. Thank you so much. So Rohan is checking in from Vizag, India. Good morning, Dennis and all. Well, good morning to you too, Rohan. Hope you're doing well out there. Leo, our good friend Leo, saying good morning, folks. Good morning, Dennis. Leo is one of our moderators on YouTube and on Discord. So shout out to Leo. Thank you so much. Joseph, another moderator. Good morning, Dennis and everyone. Happy Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Yeah, Joseph had a pretty good weekend. Thanks. Yeah, I got out in the sun yesterday. I did some hobbies. I've been doing some more hobbies in the evenings just to kind of help me get away from data science and social media a little bit. It's a lot of work to put this content together for you guys. So I've started mixing in some hobbies to kind of, well, first of all, finish off some projects that I've been wanting to finish for years. I'm somebody who buys like stuff for my hobbies. Like I'll buy things like years and years ahead of time, and I'll just put it in a storage bin. And then I finally pulled some of those bins out yesterday, and just got out in the sun, did some fun stuff yesterday. So I had a great weekend. Hope you did too, Joseph. And I hope you recovered from the class yesterday. We went for 2.5 hours in the class yesterday, and I'm pretty sure Joseph was there for all of it. So thanks for attending, Joseph. Rex, another moderator and another class attendee. Hi everyone, wishing you all a wonderful start of the week. I'm Rex from New York City. Yep, Rex is also our moderator on Discord and on Twitch. Slowly growing the presence on Twitch, guys. So if you're listening to me on Twitch, welcome. Don't be shy. Click on the subscribe button in Twitch. I'm slowly growing on Twitch. But Rex, hope you're doing well. Hope everything is good in NYC. I think the weather out there is beautiful, so hope you're well. Vignezwar. I hope I'm pronouncing that. Vignezwar from Philadelphia. Oh, very cool. Vignezwar, I think you're new. I haven't seen you, but so thank you so much for joining. Vignezwar, I think you also might be our first viewer from Philadelphia. I have a couple of friends in Philadelphia, but I think you might be our first viewer from Philadelphia. So thanks for joining. Daniel says, Callie checking in. Hey, Daniel, welcome back. I know you were here a couple times last week. Welcome back. Daniel also says, is there a way to purchase your book not through Amazon? Yes, the audio version is available on Audible and it's available on Apple Books. I believe, I've been told it's also available via Google Audio. I haven't verified that though. See, somebody maybe wants to verify me out. And it should be available soon, like via Walmart and like in other types of retailers. But those are some options there, Daniel. But who doesn't use Amazon? Is there a reason why you're not using Amazon? You're making me curious now. You know, because that was one of the big questions when I was looking for who to publish and all that. You know, who else, like how else do you sell it besides Amazon, right? Like I can't think of anywhere else I would buy books. So let me know, Daniel, if there's some rationale there that I should know, you know, to help my sales. I'd appreciate that. And my sales of my books are slowly increasing. So thank you all so much for that. Thank you for your support. My book is the only thing that I sell. I don't sell courses. The classes I do are free. The streams I do are free. So if you want to support me, my book is the best way. Thank you so much for that. Mr. Arshad. Arshad is from Pakistan, but Arshad, I'm going to come back to your question, okay? Because I want to do the global check-ins first. But remind me to come back to your question, Arshad. But Arshad is joining us from Pakistan. Rex, I'm going to come back to your comment. Hamad, nice to see you. I haven't seen you in like a week. Where you been? Hello, everyone. Good morning, and how are you doing? So I'm doing well. Thank you so much, Hamad. Hope you're doing well, too. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a little bit, so hope you and your family are well. Daniel says, I want to support you, not Bezos. I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, and you're right. Amazon does take a good cut. Yeah, for anybody wondering, Amazon is not working for free on this book. They take a good cut. So Daniel, I see your point. You know, I have considered doing direct sales because it would bring the price a little bit lower. But you know, it adds to my time and coming up with this content, it already takes up my time. I mean, hey, look, if I'm sitting here packing books, that means I have less time to create memes for you guys. So do you guys tell me, do you want more books or more memes? You know, it's up to you guys to decide, okay? Our God says, I am from India. Our God, you can't just tell me that. India is a big and diverse country. You can't just tell me India, you gotta tell me where in India. Let me know the province or city or whatnot, okay? All right, so if you're just joining us and you're new, because by the way, guys, I've been growing quite a bit. I average about 100 people now every day on Instagram, and on YouTube, I'm averaging about 45 new people a day. So on any given day, we could have new people in the chat. So I always repeat the instructions. You're welcome to introduce yourself. Let us know your city, state, country, you know, where you're from. Just introduce yourself and, you know, kind of keep on building a community here. Okay. All right. So going back to the questions. So Mr. Arshad from Pakistan says, thanks. One thing in my mind, have you been started data science course online? Will regular follow you? And this is a 100 days course. Will we get certification from you? Guide us. You know, that's a great question. And the bottom line is that I really don't sell courses. I do not do any sort of paid courses. I definitely do not do any pre-recorded instructional content. You know, quite frankly, for everyone here, one of the reasons I do so many live streams is because one, they're fun and, you know, get to meet all of you cool people. And two, what else am I going to do? I'm not going to sit here and like pre-record instructional content. Oh, I gotta go to my Visual Studio, I gotta screenshot that, and then I gotta edit it, and then I gotta, you know, my microphone went bad, so I gotta re-record. I hate that. I think it's so boring. And I think it's boring for you guys to watch too, right? So a good portion of my content is live because I only do things that make me happy. You know, I don't do things that I find boring. So I'm not going to do pre-recorded content. I'm never going to come up with a pre-recorded course like that. I come on here, I do it live. And also, I mean, I can do it live because I have the experience, right? I mean, if I didn't have the experience, these lives would be very short, right? So I do it live because I think it's fun, and then I keep it on YouTube. So if you want to go to my YouTube archives, you're welcome to do that. You're welcome to look at the previous videos I did for the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. You know, this book here. I mean, if you guys are looking for guidance, so Mr. Ashad says, can you guide us? Yeah, here, this book. This book is the Bible of becoming a professional data scientist. I went to dinner last week with one of my friends, another chief data scientist. He's the head of innovation for a large financial company. And I just told him, I said, yeah, I'm doing an instructional on the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. And he immediately said, oh, the yellow book. And I was like, yeah, the yellow book. Everybody knows this book. If you talk to professional data scientists, 99 times out of 100, they know this book. Professional data science begins with that book. That's why I decided to teach it. So if you want guidance, start there. Go to that book. The PDF is free. It's available directly from the authors, statlearning.com. Start coming to the classes on Sundays, 1500 GMT. We only have 3 more classes to go, by the way. We've made tremendous progress. Only 3 more classes to go. So, yeah, I mean, that's the best guidance I can give you. Other than that, I don't offer courses. I don't offer certifications. I don't even do resume reviews, and mock interviews. If you ask nicely, maybe, right? Special situations. But, my live content is it. But at the same time, I promise you guys that I'm not one of those data science grifters or trying to sell you something cheap. I don't sell people dreams or anything like that. I try to give you the real world. I'm basically speaking from my experience. And yeah, I mean, that's what I promise, right? I don't sell people false promises. Okay? So I hope that helps you, Mr. Arshad. Hamad says, Mr. Arshad, as far as I know, this is not a course. Yeah, it's not a course. It's just getting a community together. I do believe that I am the first, I'm one of the first, if not the first, data science streamer, and I'm definitely the first daily data science streamer. So my whole purpose in starting this is to create quality content and help the next generation of data scientists. I mean, that's really what I'm here for. I'm late in my career. Hopefully I'll be in retirement at some point in the future so I can go play golf all day. And yeah, just trying to help the next generation of data scientists here. Okay, so Rex is referring to my previous, to my opening note. Rex says, gotta develop a thick skin and maintain professionalism for those tough meetings with skeptics, I guess. Yeah, definitely. But it's more than skeptics, right? It's 2 things, Rex. 2 things come to mind when I read your comment. One, that tough skin is really more about having like good communication skills, right? Having the ability to communicate your thoughts in a clear and professional way is a demonstration of that tough skin, right? Because you can't just get beat up. You got to defend yourself, right? So you got to be able to come back and be able to say, okay, well, look, here's how I see things. And it might differ from the way you see them, but this is how it is, right? And also, as my friend Laura Sell talked about last week, sometimes you have to be able to say, okay, you know what? We've made all the progress we're going to make today. So let's stop right here. Let's all end the meeting. We'll reconvene at a time in the future. But, this is kind of like we've gone beyond what the meeting can do today. So let's go ahead and stop right here. Right. So that's also a form of tough skin, but also doing it in a very emotionally intelligent way. Right. Because that's what's helped me when you do have these tough meetings. It's about your emotionally intelligent response, not just a thick skin response. Right? And also keep in mind that when you're talking about skeptics, it's not just skeptics that are going to give you the pushback. It's going to be also people that know a little bit about data science or know about AI tools or know about other industry happenings or what competitors are doing with data science at other places. As both Laura Sell and my friend Kyle mentioned, And I will say too, I really enjoy that when you work at the top companies in the world, like I have, you work with some really smart people, right? Like, there's super smart people, like legitimately smart. They went to top schools, they have great certifications, they worked for the company for like 20 years. They're a managing director, they're a director. I mean, it's kind of one thing to get skepticism from like an analyst. It's another to get a skepticism from like a managing director, right? So some of them will give you pushback and say, well, show me what theory you're using for this and how is that theory correct? Why did you decide to apply this theory? Like, they're not just going to say, no, that's not going to work. They're going to tell you why it's not going to work and why they'll give you 3 examples of why you're wrong, right? So the pushback is a lot more in depth than it would seem. They're not just going to tell you, oh, you're wrong, or no, I'm afraid of that, we shouldn't try that. They're going to tell you you're wrong and 5 reasons why you're wrong, right? And then they're going to tell you, and I want you to reply to each one of those 5 points, right? So it goes a little bit deeper than just skepticism. It can be quite tough, right? So you're on the right track, but just be willing to realize that it can be a lot deeper than what most people would think it is, okay? But if you want to start with that, definitely start reading stuff about emotionally intelligent conversations, or how to handle tough conversations. I've been fortunate that I've gotten a lot of training at that. Some of these companies give you excellent training, and that's what I really miss the most about working for these large companies. They give you really good training. I've had some really good communication and leadership training and stuff that I really enjoyed. But it's not just skepticism. It can be a lot more than that. All right, so if you're joining us late, let us know the city, state, province, country that you're from. And we're also talking about corporate environment. That seems to be the theme for today. Ahmad says, I am busy doing summer internship and working on some projects. That's why I was unable to join streams, but I'm covering up Sunday classes when I get some free time. Okay, cool. That's right. You have the internship with the startup, right? The startup where you're working directly with the CTO or whatever. How's that going? Are you doing well? Let us know how that's going. I can't remember if that was going to end during the summer or is that ongoing. Remind me of that. But that's right. You just reminded me of that. So I hope you're doing well in that internship. So Hamad had previously shared with us his journey to getting an internship. He let us know about the interview process and when he was finally hired on. So Hamad, if there's anything more to share there, please let us know, okay? And also, Hamad is referring to the Sunday classes that I'm doing on the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. If you want to get caught up, I save everything on YouTube. Right now, it is 12 and a half hours worth of content. So you're going to have to binge watch it if you want to see all of it. It's quite a bit of content, but it's also very good content. I'm really proud of everything that's been put up there. So please go ahead and check that out. I think there's some really good material there. And again, that book is like the Bible for becoming a professional data scientist. So Mr. Ashad says, okay, sir, thanks. I think in future you will create more specific playlists like now, introduction to statistics, Python, playset, and etc. Not really. I don't know if I have an interest in doing that. I have some playlists already that kind of cover like the short content that I do versus the long content I do. But look, data science is not really about learning Python or learning YouTube tutorials. It's about also you kind of doing your work on your own, So I don't know if I have an interest in enabling people to jump directly to Python when my real interests are in the methodology of data science and the general approach to it, right? Because that's really kind of what I think is lacking in a lot of the education out there. A lot of people don't understand the methodology of data science. Python is a tool, but methodology is the why and the when, right? Python is the how. So that's really kind of what I'm more interested in developing content on. And I have a couple of series coming up. So what I do have coming up is I have a couple of series that I've developed where I have a series theme, and then I have different topics that I want to cover for each one of those themes. So each one of those will be its own video. So maybe I'll create some playlists around that, but I'm trying to be different than all the other junk that's out there, because I really don't like, like 99% of the stuff that's out there. So trying to do a different twist. And like I said, my whole point is to give you guys the real world view, right? I don't think anybody out there is really doing that, or at least not doing it in an effective way. So that's my goal with the content. I mean, following the crowd has never really been something that I've been a big proponent of. And, it's something that I would also encourage all of you to think about, as you go into your data science careers, right? If you're just following the crowd, then how is a hiring manager going to choose you when it comes time to pick a candidate for the job, right? I mean, if everybody was just the same math and code robot, then a hiring manager just picks you by going like this, right? Like you as a candidate have taken the skill out of it. You show your skill by being individual, right? By being unique, right? You can't pick a fish out of the school of fish. You pick the fish that's away from the school of fish, right? So Mo, welcome Mo. Mo, let us know where you're from. We always ask people to introduce themselves, their city, state, province. Mo says, do you need to go for a master's in data engineering to be successful? It depends. What do you want to be successful in? Right? So Mo, if you want to give us more information on that, what do you want to be successful in? So as all of you know, I'm also a proponent of making sure that you're taking the time to reflect on what you want to master in your life. What is it that you want to actually dedicate your life to? Right? What is it that you actually want to do out there? So I recommend the book Mastery by Robert Greene, because that book helps you kind of determine what your life's mastery is going to be. It had a lot of influence on me. So that's why I recommend it to others. I've given that book as a gift. I've given that book to my interns as a departing gift. All the interns that have worked for me have received that book from me because I think it's a really powerful book. So when you're asking me this, Mo, that's what you're reminding me of, because you're trying to say, I want to be successful, but I'm thinking of getting this master's in something else, right? So you got to separate that success from that master's you're studying. What is it that you want to be successful at? Maybe your mastery, maybe your passion in life is to own a restaurant, right? As an example, right? It could be other things, obviously. But if that's your passion, then why are you getting a master in data science or in data engineering? Well, because it's the sexiest job of the 21st century. Well, that's great, but that's not your passion, right? So think about that, right? Those are the types of things I encourage people who ask me that question to think about. Like, what is it you want to do with your life? You got a long life ahead of you. You kind of want to do something good with it, right? Something that's going to make you happy, huh? So Mo says, honestly, helping my company solve new business issues, and I'm working in tech for a Boston-based company. Okay, so you're working in tech, but not in data science, is my understanding. So let me know if that assumption is correct. So how do you know that you can help your company with data engineering? And how do you know that you need a master's in it? Because a master's in data engineering is a big commitment. A master's in anything is a big commitment, right? So you're trying to solve company issues, so you're going to pursue a master's in it? So now I'm even less encouraging, right? Encouraged for you, because helping your company and helping your passions are two different things. And then helping your company doesn't always require a master's degree. There's a million ways to help your company, right? So give me some more information there, Mo. Some of these things aren't quite adding up. You work in tech, not on the data side. You want to help your company with issues. Therefore, I must get a master's in data engineering. I don't know if I'm on board with that, Mo. Let me know. Okay? Our God says, I am from Hamirpur, Himachal Pradesh, and then India. All right, cool. Thanks for that. So Pradesh, India. Okay, cool. I've never been to India. I really want to go there someday. Maybe I'll make it out there someday. I guess I'd have to go through London to get to India because I don't want to go through Dubai again. But I could probably go through London. Ravindran A says, Sir, I'm having trouble with watching your Sunday class lecture along with the book's content. I feel like class and the books are different when used both. Yeah, they should be different. So I appreciate that, Ravindran. Thanks for that feedback. Yeah, I am aiming to be different, right? Because one, I really enjoy the books. Two, I'm somebody who always wants to respect intellectual property rights. You know, I don't like people stealing my work, so I don't want to steal anybody else's work. And, you know, and also that's scientifically dishonest, right? I mean, I'm not much of a scientist if I'm stealing other people's work. So yeah, I am trying to be different because I'm trying to honor the author's work by adding on top of it, right? So there's two ways I'm honoring the authors. One is I'm going through the chapters, but then I'm also pulling out the real world stuff. And you'll see that in the replays, Ravindran, where I say, hey, I like what the authors wrote here. You're welcome to read it. But in my experience, I haven't used this, or you can use another thing in place of this. Right? So that's the added value that I'm giving on top of the author's work. So instead of stealing the author's work, right? And then the second thing I'm doing to be different is that I'm not stealing their code. I'm not going to run you through their code, their lab examples. I run you through my own lab examples, and we do it via Gen AI. Because I am convinced that the future of data science, and by the way, that future is not very far off, the future of data science is going to be heavily using AI tools to aid you as a data scientist. So the labs that we do are all using Gen AI. We write very, very little code. As I say, we are code editors, not code writers. So I still follow the spirit of their labs and we still cover stuff from the chapter. But I tell you what the real world stuff is. I pull out the real world stuff, right? And I also minimize the math, by the way. And two, I give you the labs using AI tools. So yeah, it's supposed to be different than the book. But I guarantee you that the same chapters that I say cover those same topics. But I'm giving you the real world side of it, right? So I take your comment as a compliment because I want to be different than the authors. That's how I'm honoring their work, by doing that, right? So if you get really stuck, feel free to come to the Discord, because the people who participate in the Sunday class are also often in the Discord. We've had some conversations from Sunday carry over into the Discord, right? So feel free to come to that, and just keep at it, right? You got to keep on practicing, right? So just keep at it. But you'll start finding those parallels between the book and the slides that I have. You'll see. Trust me. Okay, Amin, let us know where you're from. I think this is your first time here. I'm getting a lot of new subscribers on YouTube, so a lot of new people are joining us. So Amin, if this is your first time, thanks so much for joining. For a beginner, your suggestion is that learning very deep every subject, and after that switch to the next subject, or learn subject intuition and learn them from real projects. It's actually neither of those. It's more about which subjects are you going to learn, and in which order are you going to learn those subjects. So if you look at most of these tutorials or whatever else that's online, or even just people's general thinking, right? People's general thinking is, oh, I want to learn data science. Let me go learn Python. Let me go learn neural networks. Let me go learn, Power BI, right? Like that's their immediate thought. I want to become a data scientist. Let me go work in code, right? But code is a tool, right? So as I've said before, there's a difference. If you walk into a car garage, there's a difference between all the tools that are on the wall versus the mechanic who holds those tools, right? So people are building up these toolboxes, But that doesn't make you a data science. That doesn't make you a data scientist. What makes you a data scientist is being the mechanic that knows how to use the tool, how and when to use the tools. Right? So that's what I mean when I say it's not about how you're going to learn a subject, it's which subjects you learn. So your first goal should be to understand the methodology of data science. Like, what is data science? What is the methodology of data science? What is the meaning of bias in data science, and how and why is that important? Right? What are some examples of potential data science projects? What are not data science projects? I mean, just being able to correctly identify data science projects is like half the battle, right? So, forget about Python and code and whatever else you hear about out there. It's about understanding, well, like, what does a data scientist do? Like what's the process? Right? So that's what I would encourage you to think about. I mean, like, become the mechanic, not the toolbox, right? The tools can come, right? The tools can come later. But it's more about, well, if I'm calling myself a data scientist, what does a data scientist do? What is the process that I'm following? What is the rules that I'm following? Right? So that's kind of where I encourage people to kind of think about, okay? So Rex says the Discord link has been pinned. Yes, thank you so much for that, Rex. So if you're interested in joining the Discord, you're going to find it on all of the platforms. You're going to find it as a pinned conversation. Click on that. You'll join instantly if you already have a Discord account. We have well over 100 people. I think we're over 120 people now, which is amazing. So feel free to join us there. Ambad Kar. We run wind turbines, now working towards optimizing event data by refining the manual and algorithm linkage based on categorization of events. It depends on machine and human behavior and Okay, cool. Very cool, Ambad. Sounds like an interesting project. Let us know where you're from, Ambad. I don't think I saw your introduction earlier, but sounds like a cool company. Let us know where you're based out of. Hamad says, I would advise newcomers, please watch previous stream shorts. You will get your answer. We are stuck with the same questions since the first stream. Sure, Hamad, but that speaks to the nature of data science, right? There's a lot of newcomers. Also, I realize that a lot of the questions are repetitive, but it's also because I'm getting a lot of new subscribers. I mean, Hamad, I think you haven't watched at all this week, right? So in 1 week, I can get like 100 new YouTube viewers and about 400 to 500 new Instagram followers. That's about the rate I've been growing at. So I appreciate that for some of you, this is repeat information, but I'm also getting like, a lot of new people. I mean, between the two platforms, that's like 500 new followers that I have on a weekly basis. So I'm trying to balance that out between, people who consistently come, which I appreciate, but we also have to keep up with the new people, right? It's kind of like a little bit of a growing pain. I mean, I'm doing some campaigns and some growth right now. So at the, within a month, I'll have like another 1,000 followers on YouTube alone. So I appreciate that for somebody like you, and I appreciate your support, is going to hear some repetitive things, but there's also a lot of new people that this is their first time. So I appreciate the sentiment, but also got to balance it out with the new people. Mr. Aishad says, sir, you said that you're teaching out of the box, but as a professional, what is the curriculum of data science with AI, and what important subjects should we learn, and how much of each subject should we learn or should be learned? Yes, like I said earlier, Mr. Aishad, be the mechanic, not the toolbox. Understand how to choose and why you're choosing those individual tools and at what time you're choosing those tools. Right? So that's really what I advocate. Understand the nature of data science and why you're even doing data science to begin with. And then if you do that enough, if you understand the methodology, the bias, the requirements, the process of data science, then everything else you need to learn will define itself. Because then you'll say, oh, okay, now I understand when I need data. Okay, well, what's the tool for data? Well, I got to go learn how to do some data engineering, some ETL functions, how to build pipeline, and then that guides that guidance, right? And then, oh, okay, I got my data, but the methodology tells me that the next step is to do my exploratory data analysis, my EDA. Well, how do I do that? Okay, well, that's going to require some SQL, maybe some Python, maybe some ChatGPT. Okay, let me go learn that. Okay, I got my EDA. EDA says I should probably do some visualizations next. Okay, well, how do I do that? Okay, well, the tool for that is, well, I can go learn Power BI. I can go learn Tableau. I can do it myself, right? So by learning the methodology and learning the why of data science, it'll guide the rest of everything that you need. So it's kind of a one and the other, right? People kind of hesitate and say, oh, I don't need to know that methodology stuff. I already know how to do that. I just stop when I don't get any more errors, right? When the Python code compiles, my methodology is over. Well, that's not the case, right? So keep that in mind, okay? Amin says, yes, sir, I'm new and I'm from Iran. Well, welcome, Amin. Thanks for your support. And I think Amin is an example of my previous response to Hamad. So yes, Hamad, it sounds repetitive, but Amin is new, and and he's not unique, because in the last 4 days alone, I grew YouTube by 275 new subscribers, something like that. So we're going to get more new people. That's just one of the growing pains, okay? So thanks to both of you for hanging in there with me. Our God says, I'm speaking for myself. I was a non-tech student, so I still had to go through the basic foundations in Pythons and some algorithms. Yeah, and you'll have to do that, right? But again, Python and algorithms are tools. When do you use them? How do you use them? Which algorithm do you use? Unless you have a basis in that fundamentals of data science, then you really can't answer that, right? You're still kind of guessing. Ravindran is replying to Mr. Arshad saying the curriculum is the same, but you might want to learn how to use Gen AI tools and keep up with the latest technologies that make works much more productive. Yeah, sure. I agree with that, Ravindran. Gen AI is 100% going to change the way all of us do data science. And that's one of the reasons why I teach the book, teach this book with the Gen AI tools. Because that is how we will be doing work in the future. Like I just talked right now about EDA, about exploratory data analysis. ChatGPT takes a lot of the manual work out of that. I mean, have you guys tried that? Have you tried uploading a data set to ChatGPT? You should, right? It should make you it'll make you either very excited or very scared for the future, depending on if you're an optimistic person or not. Because they do a lot of the exploratory data analysis for you. Like it's crazy how good those tools have become. Or how good Gen AI right now is at writing code for you. We've done 5 classes on this book and we've written 0 code natively. We've edited code because ChatGPT still makes mistakes, and that's okay. But we've done like 0 writing from a blank screen. Like that's crazy, right? So you got to start preparing for that now. So yeah, Ravindran, I totally agree with you. Manoj, a good friend Manoj. Good morning, Dennis from Bangalore, India. Manoj, I think you were in the class yesterday, so I hope you got a lot out of that class. Good to see you again, my friend. Ravindran adds, and fundamentals in statistics, Pythons, and methodologies is most important. Yeah, statistics is definitely important. Methodologies is definitely important. Yeah, you got to remember something, guys. Data science degrees are only a very new thing, right? I mean, they only started coming out in the last, 4 or 5 years? Even then, I'm talking about the master's level, right? Some of the bachelor level data science degrees have only been around 3 years? 4 years, maybe? Like if you're at an advanced institution, maybe they've had one for 4 years. But before that, it was mostly statistics. specifically applied statistics. That's what I did my graduate studies in. Because, you know, I'm an old man, right? I did it a long time ago. So there wasn't even a data science degree then, right? I was a data scientist long before they had data science degrees. So, yeah, understanding statistics, pretty important. Pretty important. And when you're doing that, you're not even doing it in Python. You're not even writing algorithms. You're just understanding statistics as far as numbers and distributions and hypothesis testing and the different types of tests you can do that have nothing to do with watching YouTube tutorials about Python and scikit-learn and neural networks, right? So keep that in mind, guys. When you're saying, hey, I'm new, what do I need to learn? Maybe statistics is a good place to start. I got a lot of value, tons of value out of my applied statistics class. Love that class. Joseph is giving Ravindran advice. Ravindran, keep at it. For me, it helped going back to the live videos and regarding the chapter over time, it started coming together. Well, thank you for that, Joseph. I'm glad it's coming together for you. Yeah, you know, I don't go page by page in the book. One, that's boring, and two, it's intellectually dishonest. But I guarantee you that the same concepts that I tell you from each chapter are in that chapter. I just present it in a more digestible way and in a real world way, right? I tell you what I've actually used in the real world. I've been a data scientist for a long time, so I know what I've used and what I haven't. Or like I said, I'll tell you when, yeah, this is a good concept, go read it in the book, but here's the replacement, here's the alternate for it. Here's other ways I've seen this same concept executed, right? So stick with it. Stick with it, Ravindran. Argod said, as you are teaching LLMs in your class, we still need some basics to be clear. I'm teaching you how to use LLMs in the class. I'm not teaching the construction of LLMs. I'm teaching you how to use them in their end state. Right? In their end state, how do I use an LLM? That's really what I'm teaching. Because that's how you will be a data scientist in the future. And by the way, when I define the future, I'm saying like in the next 2 years max. Maybe 3 years. But more like 2, like 1 to 2 years. Right? So I'm teaching you how to use it so that you can be faster and more efficient in your work. I'm not teaching the building of LLMs. That's a whole other animal. That could be an interesting course. You know, I might do that sometime, but we'll see. Ravindran sends, thanks, Joseph. I'll try to. You know, nothing makes me happier than to see the community helping the community. So good on you, Joseph, for providing some advice there. Ambad says, I work at Vesta, currently in Chennai, India. This is a wind turbine pioneer headquartered in Denmark. There's a huge potential and need of data literacy in our core sector, a career one should look out for. Okay, so you're talking about data literacy in the core sector, and by the core sector, I'm assuming you mean the the renewable energy industry is what I'm assuming, right? I mean, that's what wind turbines fall under. So thanks for that advice, Ambad. It definitely sounds like an interesting industry, and it seems like every country is looking to capitalize on green energy, right? So thanks for that. Leo says, Dennis has a nice video about DS roadmap. Yeah, thank you for that, Leo. Thanks for the reminder. Go to my YouTube, Data Science with Dennis, search for Data Scientist Roadmap for Students. It's a video where I lay out what I would be doing if I was a student or an early career professional looking to move over into data science. So thanks for the reminder, Leo. George Baez is saying, I cannot click on the Discord link. I think you have to copy it from Instagram. But here, let me provide it again. I'm sending it in the chat. I don't know if it's clickable in the chat. But Instagram, I think it requires you to actually highlight it and copy it, okay? Joseph, thanks so much for providing the roadmap video. Really appreciate it. George says, yes, sanity checks, missing value handling, uni, and bivariate analysis. I'm assuming you're referring to the conversation about statistics, George? Or give me some background on that, George. I'm not 100% sure what you were referring to, but I think that's the statistics conversation. Let me go. So Leo says, tools are ways to execute what you already know. If you don't know what you're doing, tools are going to make zero sense most of the time. Yeah, Leo, I'm 100% on board with that. Yeah, I mean, you could own a car shop that has this. You know how like they have like those beautiful red toolboxes. Because see, I like doing mechanical things with my hands for my hobbies. So I appreciate a nice set of tools. Maybe one day I'll post my picture. What you guys can't see is that right outside of this screen, right over here, I'm literally touching it right now. I have a big old toolbox. Like I invested a lot of money in like getting some tools. I have like every wrench. I got all my sockets, all my wrenches. I even got my little speed square. But look, all of this stuff is useless unless I know how to use it, right? Unless you know how to use a speed square, this is useless. So this is Python. This is neural networks. But who cares if you don't know how to use it? If you as the individual, or you the mechanic, don't know how to use it. So I like Leo's mentioning here because that's the analogy that I have in my mind. You can have this nice big shiny toolbox. I have my box has like 10 drawers. It's a big toolbox. I have a lot of tools. But who cares? If you're not the skilled mechanic or the skilled, craftsman, you're not going to know how to work with them, right? Doesn't matter how much you spent on the tools or who taught or who sold you the tools or anything else. It's you, right? It's you and the methodology and your understanding of how to use those tools, right? Yeah, maybe one day I'll give you guys a tour of my toolbox. It's a lot. I have a lot of tools. And then I have tools for my hobbies too and other storage bins and stuff like that. But thanks for that, Leo. A good analogy there. Leo also says, Dennis, to pump you up a little bit, I'm in a daily basis contact with NYU data scientist and PhD professor. 1 year together, and I still can't understand how he defines data science. You're great. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, Leo, one of my skills, even before I was a data scientist, when I was a software engineer, I was always able to take complex topics and explain it to anyone. Everyone and anyone. And that helped me a lot because if you can be that person in your company, if you can have the business people in your company, right? Like the non-tech people. If you can go to those people and talk to them and not make them feel dumb because they don't understand all the tech terms that you're using, you will become their best friend. Because they will tell you, hey, I'm going to go to Leo first because I actually understand when Leo's talking to me. So if you become that person, guess what? You're the one with all the good tech ideas because the business people are coming to talk to you first, right? They're not going to go talk to the math nerd. Nobody shows up for the code guys meetings, but they'll come to your meetings because, hey, I understand Leo when he's talking to me, right? So really a valuable skill for you guys to have. And that's going whether you guys end up in data science or DevOps or whatever, data engineering. If you can talk in plain terms and explain things to people, in turn, you will be the one they come to first. And they're going to come to you and say, hey, yeah, we got this problem with this, with this sale process that we're trying to do work with. Can you help us with that? And then you become the guy in the tech room with everybody else with all the good ideas. Nobody gives ideas to the math guy, right? But they'll give ideas to you, right? So keep that in mind. Super valuable skill. So I appreciate your recognition of that, Leo. It served me well in my career. I mean, even when I was in DevOps, when I was doing like just traditional software engineering, they would come to me first, right? And also that helped in leadership, by the way. That's another thing why you should develop this skill, because if you can do that, then you're the one also directing the tech team and saying, okay, yeah, I got this idea from the business, but here's how we're going to execute it. I need you to do this. I need you to work on this. I need the database guy to do this. Right now you're leading. Now you're leading the project. So if you're wondering, hey, how do I go from I'm just going to use software engineering, but how do I go from a software engineer to a lead software engineer to a senior software? That's a pretty good way to do it, right? To be the guy with all the ideas. Because now you're almost like you've gone from software engineer to software architect. Because you have the idea, you can architect it in your mind, and now you can direct people and say, hey, I'm gonna show some initiative, I'm gonna lead up this effort, and I need you to do this, and please do this, and then this, and then we need this, and this, and then we can show it to the business. We can now take all that and we can show it to my best friend in the business, because now we're best buddies because we talk all the time. So super valuable skill to develop. AMH Kyra says the link of your Discord is expired. I think you're right. I think the link in one of my Instagrams is expired, but I do have a more recent link. Or are you referring to the one that's in the chat? Let me know which one you clicked on, Kyra, because it is possible that I have some expired links, but the one that's in the chat right now should be a non-expiring link. Let me know, please. Leo says the chat really must know that DS is a very challenging field. Don't feel bad if you're a bit lost at this moment. Yeah. Leo, you're coming in strong with the comments today, my friend. Good job. Yeah, I'm 100% on board with this. Yeah. Yeah, the other way I've expressed this, and this is going to be one of the series that I have coming up. One of the problems I have with these data boot camps and this and that is that there's been this fallacy of truth that data science can be learned in like a month and you'll be a data scientist, which to me is crazy, because to me I equate being a data scientist like a lawyer or a doctor or any other profession that you have to dedicate yourself to. Or like, like being an electrician or being like a plumber or some like a profession, right, that you do for your life. There are no become a lawyer in 3 months courses out there. There's no become a surgeon in 2 weeks with our boot camp. There is no surgery boot camp, right? So it's become like this false belief that, oh, I'll just go to this data boot camp and I'll start applying for data scientist positions. It's a lot more complex than that. So to Leo's point, yeah, you're going to feel lost at times. And I empathize, some of the concepts can be tough. Like I said, yesterday, the level of difficulty in the class definitely went up. But that's okay, you keep at it. And also in that learning, you're going to learn like what the actual day-to-day work of a data scientist is. I mean, a lot of it is like kind of sitting back and thinking about different ways to try to find the answer, or different ways to work with the same fundamental data. Or how do you modify the data? How do you modify your approach? How do you talk to others and say, hey, I'm approaching it like this, but what do you think? Do you see a different way? Yeah, I see it this way. And how do you take in that information, right? So don't fall for these grifters, these fake AI gurus that tell you that, oh, just pay for my boot camp, It's a serious profession. So thank you, Leo. Thanks for that comment. Thanks, Argot said thanks, Dennis. You're welcome, Argot. If I've helped you in some way, then that makes me happy. Stippus says, you're probably right about LLMs, but I gotta admit, sometimes I miss the old days of copying code from Stack Overflow. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I like that. You know what I really liked about Stack Overflow? It's not so much the copying code, but one of the things I've been using Stack Overflow for a long time, like a long time. I have some questions on there from like 10 plus years ago. And one of the things that it really kind of encourages me is there were times in my life where I was stuck on some serious like software engineering problems. For example, one of the last things that I did in .NET and C# was I became a specialist in WPF. Really interesting framework, but also a really difficult framework to work with. And I posted questions on Stack Overflow that even today is still getting upvotes and answers. Like I'm talking, I posted those questions 2008, 2009, something like that. Some of you probably weren't even born then. But I have questions that I could show you from like 2009, let's say, that today are still getting upvotes. But in that moment, I wasn't getting help right away. So to me, it kind of serves to show you how much of an early adopter you are in those technologies. Because I was doing WPF when like there were no Stack Overflow questions on it or no Stack Overflow answers on it. So that's how I use Stack Overflow, where like, am I asking a good question or like a dumb question that has like 20 answers already, right? So I really enjoy that part because I'm still in shock when I get like the little alerts. Like, oh, your question got 40 upvotes this month. And it's like, really? I wrote that question like decades ago, like almost 20 years ago now, right? 2008 was like almost 20 years ago, right? So it's like, wow, I was asking questions back then that people are still having trouble with now. So it kind of like makes you feel good in a little way, right? Because like you know that you were on that bleeding edge, right? Maybe you just didn't think of it that way. But like that means that I was like pretty good at WPF, and then I was legitimately stuck on that question, right? So it kind of like gives you a little bit of a gauge of how you're doing, like compared to other people. So I really think that at one time I was like literally at the bleeding edge of WPF because like nobody else is asking those questions, and people are only now or even now asking or using that same questions that I posted. Like that's crazy, right? Like if you can be that far ahead, like I think that's pretty cool, you know? I have a couple of data science ones that are also like that. I haven't checked them in a while, but they're also like that. Manoj says, I have completed a master's degree in statistics and I'm currently working on socioeconomics projects under a central government institution. The real world problems which you convey is so helpful. All right, cool. Yeah, I appreciate that, Manoj. Yeah, I try to give you guys like that real world twist, right? Because I'm an old man, guys. You got to remember, I'm pretty old, right? When I went to dinner with my friend last week, he told me that I look very young, which I appreciate. That him and I'm actually older than him, and he thought I was significantly younger than him. He thought I was 10 years younger than him, but we're both like a year apart. But yeah, I try to give you the real world side of it, right? I've had a long career, so I'm trying to give you like what I've actually used, or maybe a more modern approach to things, or you know, just kind of how things are actually done, right? But at the same time, I do want to teach you in a scientifically sound way, right? Because my goal overall, and hopefully your goal overall, should be to run things in a scientific way. To be able to say, when somebody comes back on you and says, well, how did you develop this algorithm? You can always say, here's my process. It was transparent. It was checked. It was done to my best ability of the scientific method. So if I can contribute just a little bit to that, then I think I might have helped the world of data science. Mr. Rashad says, sure, you're the great and experienced teacher. Why not you make curriculum and subjects to study and learn with you or other YouTube and do projects with you or others and gets jobs, guide us. I'm trying to make sure I capture your question. Because my goal isn't to really get jobs, right? My goal here is not to, first of all, like I've said in other content, I'm not a source of jobs. I mean, I don't even do resume reviews. You know, I provide guidance for resumes, but I don't do resume reviews. I will only do mock interviews under certain situations and if you ask nicely. But my goal here is to develop data science professionals. If you can develop yourself into a data science professional, then the interviews and finding a job is just a formality, right? A doctor doesn't have to like go through multiple job interviews. They apply to the hospitals that are hiring because they're a doctor, right? So try to keep that in mind, Mr. Aishad. It's not about getting a job or passing the interview. It's about being a professional in the field, okay? Our God asks, do you know how to use them? I don't get wrenches. I'm not going to say I'm an expert in using all of my tools, but I'm pretty good at it, you know? Like I work on engines and I work on other stuff, you know, just fun stuff. I fix stuff around the house or my furniture or my computer setups. So I do okay, you know, but it's more of a fun hobby. Like I'm not putting myself out as a professional mechanic, you know, but it's nice to have, like what I really enjoy is when I have a problem around the house, it's always nice to say, I have the tool for that and I can fix it. Like that's the fun, right? And going to your drawer and saying, this is the socket that I need. Yes, I have it. I bought it for a reason. I'm going to use it. And then you fix it and everything works nice. Like that's the payoff, right? That's where you feel good. So that's why I like having the tools and all that. But I might do a tour of my toolbox. I have to do some organization. The top is a little messy, but it's a big toolbox. It's pretty big. So honestly, I got to tell you guys, this toolbox is one of the things I missed about living in Las Vegas. Because when I was in New York, I couldn't take my tools with me because in New York, you live in very small apartments. So I had this toolbox in storage for a couple of years. So I'm really happy that I have it back and I can work with them because I didn't have it for 2 years. Leo says that's a soft skill we should all develop. Yeah, absolutely, Leo. I'm sure you're referring to the talking in English or talking in plain words to people. Yeah. Super valuable soft skill. If you can develop that, you will be just fine in your career. Leo advises, come up with a model of what you think is important, share on Discord and a whole community. Not only does can help you define your path, my friend. Yeah, the whole point of Discord is the community helping each other. So yeah, good advice there, Leo. Mathur Shubham says, how do you suggest I move from traditional software development to AI or data science? On my YouTube, you're gonna find how I made the mid-career transition to data science. I did a whole video on this. I think it's almost like an hour long, maybe longer. I can't remember. I did a whole video on this. So go ahead and go to my YouTube. How I made a mid-career transition to data science. That'll tell you what I did. Landry, our good friend Landry, you're on YouTube today. You're usually on Instagram. Hello from Mechelen, Belgium. 2 more exams for summer school and I can join the class on Sundays. Nice. Okay, cool. You're welcome to join anytime. So Landry is referring to our class, Introduction to Statistical Learning. Every Sunday, 1500 GMT. We only have 3 more sessions to go, guys. All of us should be proud of ourselves for keeping up with it. So 3 more sessions. If you want to get caught up, go to my YouTube, look at the live streams. It's all up there. AMH says the one in the Instagram. Really? So you say that link is expired. Let me try it real quick, AMH. Thanks for the heads up. My understanding is that was a non-expiring link. Well, it still works for me. But maybe I should check my Instagram profile. I think the one in my profile might be a little bit older. So I'll check that, okay? And by the way, let me bring that up. So this is our Discord. We have 124 people. 124 people. And we're posting a variety of things, different thoughts, different ideas, different articles, different things that people are working on. Somebody posted a really good analysis last week about our Sunday classes. So really good discussion. We have a really good community building. So click on the link, come join us on Discord. As Leo said, it's a good way for the community to help the community. So really good resource. By the way, right now I'm taking votes. Is there an interest in having a fantasy football league? If you want to sign up for that, vote in the poll. Because if you vote in the poll, you'll be the first people I go to when the league is open. If I open the league, because I want to make sure we can have at least 8 to 10 teams, right? Make it fun. So if you're interested in that, vote in there. But really good discussion, really good people in there. Some of the same people in the chat. So if you're enjoying this chat, you'll probably enjoy the Discord. But I'm gonna double check my links. Thank you so much for that heads up. Make sure everything is good. The Discord linked on Twitch works. Yep. Yeah. So, but Kyrie, thank you for that information. I will follow up on it though. It is important to have live links. Stippus, our good friend Stippus, also from our class yesterday. To echo what Leo is saying, it took me about 2 years to be confident in doing data science stuff on my own. Yeah. Yes, Stippus, I agree with that. Leo says, me too. Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was about 18 months. 18 months is when I felt comfortable starting to look for jobs. It's 18 months to 2 years, yeah. That's probably a pretty good estimate. Now, keep in mind, there was a lot of work in those 2 years, right? It wasn't just watching a YouTube tutorial every now and then. It was pretty much dedicated work. I'm sure that Stippus and Leo are referring to the same thing, right? It's not just a casual 2 years. It's probably pretty dedicated. Stippus says, I wouldn't trust anything that pitches. Be an expert in, be an expert in 2 weeks on data engineering or whatever. For sure. It's unfortunate that people have taken advantage of others and they create a quick product and then they sell the product, right? And obviously the product is junky, right? No good. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but I don't do any of that. The only thing I charge for is my book. If you want to support me, my book is the best way. And I say that not, because the book is my legacy, right? The book is like all the thoughts that I've had over the last few years. And I might write other books. I have a couple of other ideas, but I think the book brings you a good amount of value. But if you want to support me, that's the best way. Otherwise, virtually everything else I do is free. Mathur says, how can I join your classes? You've already joined. Just make sure you subscribe on YouTube, or have notifications on your Instagram, and you'll get notified. But usually it's Sundays 1500 GMT is when I do the classes. But yeah. Leo says by the end is all about the 10,000 hours. Yeah, sure. And Mastery by Robert Greene talks about that. He puts it at 8 to 10,000 hours, right? And yeah, you have to just put in the time. You have to do it. There's no shortcuts. Basically, I don't trust things that advertise quick expertise. I did do a 3-day boot camp at LSU, ran once, and for someone that's never seen code before, I thought it was beneficial. Sure. Yeah, I agree, Stippus. It all depends on how they sell you on those camps, right? Because if they don't overpromise it and you got something out of it as a total code newbie, then great. But obviously there are people out there who take advantage of people and say, oh, you'll become an expert at this, or you'll be ready for a job after this. Or the ones that are basically doing gatekeeping, right? Where they oversell you on, oh, the math and data science is so hard. It's so, no. You need to take my boot camp before you try data science, because, I'll teach you the math of that. Don't buy into that, right? Do the research and the work on your own. Joseph says, I agree, Leo. I also love that data science as a profession is a career, constant learning. Absolutely, Joseph. I am 100% with you on that. I love the fact that data science is so dynamic and you have to keep up with things and it's a growing profession. I love that aspect of it. Totally agree with you. True, Joseph Hernandez, it's got to be a lifestyle for me, at least as DB connected to see ICRL. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's also about how others see it, right? You have to be open to other people's perspectives. If you're not open to other people's perspectives, then everything you do is just kind of like your bias, your view, right? So that's one of the things I've also had to appreciate, where you have to be able to say, oh, wait a minute, that person just gave me really good information, or new information has come into the arena, right? What am I going to do with that? You can certainly disregard it, right? If you can come up with the rationale. But hey, I can't disregard it. I gotta take that into account, right? My scope of information has changed, therefore my model has to change. My approach has to change, right? So I love that. I love that about data science. Deadlord, our good friend Deadlord has entered the chat. Hi Dennis, how are you? I'm doing well, Deadlord. How are you? Let us know how you're doing. I don't think you attended the class yesterday. We missed you in the class yesterday. Garbit, welcome. I don't think I've seen you before. Garbit says that's a good idea. Sorry, Garbit, I don't know which part you're referring to. You know, you know what my problem is? I see the chat and then I talk too much. So by the time I finish talking, there's like 10 new comments that I can't get to until later. So I gotta work on that. But let us know what you were referring to, Garbit. And this is your first time joining us. Welcome. Subam says, what is the idea behind your statistics classes? They seem interesting. I don't teach statistics. I teach the Introduction to Statistical Learning book, which is a data science book. They probably didn't pick the best name for that, but it is a data science book, right? You're learning data science items. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about this just yesterday. In my curriculum, when I took the course, it was actually called a data mining course. So even the course I took wasn't called data science, and the book is not called data science, but the book itself is absolutely data science. So feel free to come to the classes, you'll learn more, or watch the videos online. Like the schedule, or is there a playlist to follow? Yeah, Subam. So good question. There's two ways to follow this book, or to catch up with us on this book. The first way is to go to my channel, Data Science with Dennis, look in my archives, or search, you can search inside the channel, search for Introduction to Statistical Learning. And you're gonna find the 5 classes that we've done so far. Now, I warn you that it's like 12 hours of content, so it's a lot. So that's one way. The second way is that usually after this chat finishes, at some point today, what I do is I start all those classes to play continuously. So you'll see it as a live stream on my channel. So if you want to kind of come, spend a few minutes, listen to the class, and then you got to go do some other things, or you want to take a break, it's okay. Go away, come back, the live will still be playing, and you can just kind of pick things up as you come back and forth, right? Or hey, he talked about this chapter, that's interesting, let me go look at the chapter in the book, right? So I have a loop that plays where you can come back to and say, oh, okay, yeah, let me spend 20 minutes here looking at this, right? So that's 2 ways for you to get caught up, okay? Stippus says, I've been in academic debate, first as a nationally successful competitor, gotta flex that I beat Yale, nice. And now as an assistant coach, if anyone's help with explaining complex things, I can help. Okay, cool. Stippus is volunteering. Stippus, are you in our Discord? I can't remember. Or maybe you're there under a different name. That's possible. But yeah, but it sounds like you could be helping a lot of people on Discord. So good on you. That sounds like a good background. Argod says the one in the profiles do work and one don't. Okay. Okay. I'll check all my links today, Argon. Thank you for that. Joseph, thank you so much for putting those links in the chat. Mr. Arshad says, can we study Introduction to Statistics on your Discord or website? No, I don't have a course on that, but it'd be an interesting topic. I'll consider it for the future. Like a base level statistics. So no, I don't have that, Mr. Arshad. I don't even have a video on it. Perhaps I should. But maybe in the future. Yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate that input. But yeah, statistics I think is critical. So yeah, maybe I'll consider that for the future. Leo says, great way to start, Mr. Arshad. Dennis also recorded 2 previous lessons. Any insight for questions, feel free to. Yeah, thank you for that, Leo. Yep, thanks to Joseph for putting up the link. Yeah, guys, make sure you give a shout out to Joseph, Patrick, and Rex. They are my mods across the different platforms. I really appreciate them volunteering for that. They really do a lot of good work. So thank you so much. Give them a shout out when you can. Thanks for sharing the details for the class. I'll see you at 1500 GMT this Sunday. I put it as a calendar reminder. Cool. Yeah. Feel free to come. We have a great group. I teach in the Socratic method where I ask a lot of questions of the chat, so we always go back and forth. So yeah, you're more than welcome to come. Joseph says, glad I could help you. See you this Sunday. Yep. Manoj said, still they call data mining in academics. Yeah, there's probably a few courses out there still called data mining, right? Which is kind of like an old way of saying it, but it's most likely a data science course. Like I said, that's what it was called in my curriculum. So yeah, not uncommon to see it called data mining, even though it's data science and they're teaching the book called Introduction to Statistical Learning. So yeah, quite confusing, but it's all just data science. So guys, I think we reached the end of our stream today. So good to be able to chat with you, and really so good to see all the new people that are coming on board. Like I said, my YouTube is growing quite a bit. So glad to see all the new people. Thanks so much for introducing yourselves, and keep on coming back. You've gotten a feel for what my streams are like. This is the way I like teaching people. And like I said, I'm just giving you my view, my real world experience. That's all I can share, right? I can only share with you my reality, my experience. So I'll see you again tomorrow. I stream every day, 1500 GMT. Until then, take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you tomorrow.